Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as I go through it. And if you have any questions, check out finding-value.com, where I dive deeper into all of this stuff, looking for potential investment opportunities and sharing at least my journey with this commodity bull market that we're in. May Day is still a coupon code that is active. You get 50% off the first month to try it, only the first month, or you get a larger discount on the yearly membership if you're interested in signing up for a yearly membership. All right, let's dive in here. Let's take a look and see what's going on. We've got the DXY here, and this is where I generally start. Big move lower. We're breaking down in the DXY. And that's what I suspected would eventually occur as a weaker dollar. What that's going to do is eventually it's going to be a booster behind certain asset classes. Anything that's priced in dollars, commodities specifically, precious metals that are priced in dollars, and you'll see emerging markets eventually take off. So the bond market most likely will go up, yields down, and the DXY will go lower for a period of time. In the beginning, what initially sparks this generally is a fear of a slowdown. And you'll see interest rates drop and then the dollar drops. That's exactly what we're seeing and where we're at in this cycle. And I'll dive deeper into it this weekend, tomorrow, during the Q&A session. I'll dive deep into it so you guys can kind of understand the progress of this cycle going through. We can see the 2-year yield just dive bombing lower. I know some people think that we're at support or something like that soon, and that very well could bounce there. But what I look at is this trend and the rollover, and then the size of this move that we're getting here this past week. The daily was pretty big too, and you can see we're accelerating in that momentum. So people are dive bombing into the 2-year, thinking and front running the Federal Reserve, which they think is going to lower interest rates here at some point. Every time we see this, this rollover, we had a rollover here, which was a double top on this guy here. But for the most part, we've seen these pullbacks, and they generally almost always coincide with the slowdown in the market. So more than likely, this is going to be a slowdown / recession, whatever you want to call it, in the market. We will probably bottom somewhere above this trend line that goes across here, that trend line going there. So we'll probably get down in this area where the X is. That is my guess. And then rates will be lowered to some degree, and then we'll recover at some point, going through a recovery phase, and then I think the dollar will continue to drop as this comes on down. We're seeing that also on the 10-year. That's definitely broken to the downside. We'll probably come back to somewhere down here. Tough to say. We could maybe even come back to 3%-ish up here. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see what this looks like and how much fear creeps into the market. We've broken the big downtrend line to the upside, and this is our first big pullback, which is basically a slowdown in the market that's causing the pullback. 30 years also going down and breaking out of its support level today as well. Big move lower, busting through support, and we could see all aspects, or I should say all durations of the curve fall lower here. And that is generally coincident with the slowdown. TYX TNX ratio, this is moving on up. Generally, gold does well when this moves higher. It doesn't do it if it's a sell everything type of event, which I think we are experiencing the past couple of days. But for the most part, gold does well when this uninverts. It's not 100% correlated, but it's highly correlated. We have a long runway ahead of us to go higher. Last time this runway started in December of 18, the problem occurred here in 2020. So we'll see what occurs here and watch it move on up, and we'll see how fast it moves on up. Bond prices Bond prices move opposite of yields. We are definitely breaking to the upside here, signaling that people are running towards bonds. And I know the Federal Reserve, I know and the Treasury, they're releasing a lot of bonds. They need demand for bonds. So this could easily be manufactured, a slowdown, and get some demand for bonds, and drive people into the bond market. So there's that taken off. That looks very strong and definitely looks like it will continue higher, which means we could still see some selling pressure in the equity markets. It is still out there. US 2 and 10, we did get pretty big uninversion, almost to the 1% level where the curve uninverts. We're getting there pretty quickly. We are at support. That's what the white line is going across. I do suspect that this will probably head lower. And if you were to take this pattern here, this topping pattern, which looks like this, you can see that it mirrors a lot, or is very similar to a lot of these previous previous tops here, where you get an initial surge higher and then the rollover. And you see it a lot in a lot of these, where you'll get a surge higher and then you get a rollover. So yeah, it looks like we're rolling over. Looks like yields could definitely come on down and drop. And that does indicate that a slowdown slash recession, however you want to call it, could be making its way here. Gold is flat today. We had a sell everything type of event, and sometimes it impacts every single asset class. Although the conditions were good for gold to go up in, weaker dollar, weaker yields, gold was still flat. And that's that sell everything type of move. Silver was up just a little bit today, but for the most part, when you get these sell everything type of events, you can still get a drawdown before heading higher. But overall, gold and silver, I think, are well positioned. This is where they do well, is when the yield curve starts to drop and uninvert. It doesn't mean it does well every single day. It just means that overall, the tailwinds are in this sector. Platinum down just a little bit, about 0.45%. We're still underneath that downward trend line. The weakening of the dollar is going to push these guys up, in my opinion, with time. It doesn't mean it will do it when people are fearful. And also keep in mind, rates are dropping with the dollar. The dollar is not strengthening, at least not right now. And it looks to be breaking to the downside. Palladium down a little bit, 1.18%, and we're right at that support level. We'll see if it holds. If we continue to get selling pressure in the markets, I do think that some of these are going to come under pressure, and palladium would be primed to fall for a period of time, and platinum could fall too, depending on the fear in the market and the pressure that's exerted. GDX is down about 2%, which on a day like today is pretty strong. is an outperformer. We've got GDXJ also down, and then SOLJ is down the most. Now, all of these are primed, I think, and are looking good for a move higher. So they all look good. GDXJ is right underneath resistance. When we break that resistance, we could really get moving here. Same with GDX. That's already broken out, and it's moving on up. So they all look good. We're just going through a sell everything type of event. XAU to gold ratio, it is down lower today. Gold held pretty steady. That's the safe haven asset. And the miners underperformed gold on the sell everything event. This is still very well positioned for outperformance of the gold, silver mining companies to outperform gold. We just have to wait for the fear to subside, in my opinion, and this will be one of the best sectors to be looking at. And we'll take a look at what companies we should be looking at and just how fast some of these companies went up. Some of them went up 10 times in 3 months. So we'll put together a strategy and a plan this weekend. We're going to be watching companies, most of the companies you guys know, and we'll go over some information so you guys are well prepared for what I think is coming over the next however many months this plays out. Crude oil down. In a sell everything event, crude oil does get the axe, we do have a little wick on the bottom. Is this going to continue to go down, or are we going to get a bounce here? I wish I knew that statement there. I wish I knew the answer. If I knew the answer, then I'd be buying it if it was going to be bottoming. But we don't know the answer, and there is a lot of fear generated in the market. The two-year yield is dropping, and sometimes that has a pretty big impact on oil. And oil could easily fall and still be above the uptrend into the low 60s. So that very well could be the slingshot that everybody is hoping for. What the slingshot is it gets everybody off sides, gets everybody scared out of their shares. The big boys load up, and then they turn it and rip it to the upside. TTF gas holding strong, which is just barely up 0.3%. On a day like today, that's a huge win. Natural gas also up 0.3% right on support. But that did not stop the natural gas equities from going lower. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, getting hit pretty hard today, down 5.11%. We take a little bit longer looking viewpoint from the bigger vantage point. This does look pretty weak. So could we get a break lower here? We could. That is definitely on the table here before moving on up. We could mirror this side to this side. And I don't know if I can yank that. We can try it here. I think we do this. And then what you do is you take a right click. I think it's mirrored. Okay, it's flipped. Back, and we want to do a flip. Flipped. So that's reversing it. And this is what could easily occur here, is that move lower here, and then we rip higher. I think that is exactly what is coming, and that's the mirror side of this. So I think it's going to look something very similar to what this is. Obviously, we don't know with 100% certainty that will occur, but I think that's probably what's going to occur is we're going to get a pullback. It's the slingshot that's going to be engaged. And if we were to look at this, and then I mirror it over, or flip it over, it's going to look something on the lines of that. So we come on down and then we rip higher all the way up. That's the slingshot. It pulls you back and then rips you on up. If this occurs, we're going to be ready and we're going to be buying it down here on the website. And if that's something you want to try to do, definitely join. But that's what I'm going to be trying to do. OIH also feeling the pain just like all the other ones. And this could experience that downward move. Now, the difficult part is we're on support. We do have a little wick on the bottom. Is this going to be it, or do we have further downside? I would like to think this is it, but I have a feeling we're going to go lower. The reason is the two-year yield still has a good chunk to fall, and the difficult part is to know how far it's going to fall. And what I do is I don't jump in front of these big red candlesticks. I let the market speak to me. We got to wait. We got to wait for this to see what it looks like. A lot of the times what we see is we get a bounce here, it's weak, and then it rolls back over. So just be prepared for some volatility coming up. We got Newcastle Coal, that's working its way on up with TTF gas, and I do think this could work its way on higher or sideways at worst. So that actually looks pretty dang good. But remember, the overall markets are going to overwhelm the sector strength. So if people are selling in the overall markets, it's going to overwhelm any sort of positive movement in coal. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust continuing to sell off today. It is towards the lower end of this channel that I put in here. And we'll see if we get a bounce. We'll see what that bounce looks like over the next couple of trading sessions. The physical uranium futures price actually looks good, like it wants to go higher, which is a little bit confusing because we just saw, mayhem in the shares the past few days. So looking at the equities, yeah, it looks pretty weak. We've got some strong selling pressure. Is this the capitulation move to scare everyone out of it before we reverse higher? I don't know yet. We got to see what this response looks like after these big selling pressure candlesticks. So I can't comment on that yet. URNM also getting some selling pressure there. We do have these little wicks at the bottom. Sometimes they can bounce, but you got to see what the bounce looks like. And then URNJ down 8%. We've broken through that support zone here, and the momentum is still down on all of them. So I would be patient. We got to wait for a bounce and see what the bounce looks like. Copper up 1%, surprisingly, and we're getting real close to support. Maybe that support will hold here. And again, guys, I'm just waiting to see what the overall markets kind of have to price in over the next, say, week or so. COPX also down in the sell everything event, but obviously holding up much better than the energy sector. Iron ore down a little bit, still looks good above this support line that's coming across. We've got aluminum down a little bit, as expected. I mean, everything was kind of selling off, but we're at support. We've got nickel also just trading sideways. And again, I wouldn't jump in front of this train yet. Let's see if there's any basing here that occurs first. We've got Mu down 1.52%, looking kind of ugly, but we're back to support. We'll see if that support holds. If the 2-year continues to fall like a rock, I do expect this to drop lower. We have support down at 60, 61 bucks. Emerging markets doesn't like all that selling pressure. It impacted that even though we had weaker dollar, weaker yields. So this is a sell everything type of event. We're back to support. Regional banks sold off about 3.3%. Was not spared in this selling pressure move. Support in the $51, $50 range. TAN down. That did not get spared. Same with lithium, still down. Momentum down. We're coming real close to that support level at $36. And then REMX down 3.3%, still momentum lower. We got to see some basing out and some big green candlesticks before I start getting bullish. Baltic Dry Index down. That was not spared either. And we're at support-ish area level. XHB Home Builders down 2.74%, and that is also feeling the pain of all the selling pressure across the board. Russell 2000 down 3.5%. We're back to support though, and I want to see if this holds here at support or if we continue on down, but we'll have to wait and see if this continues. The selling pressure, that is. S&P 500 down, flag pattern, and we're still have momentum to the downside. That has not turned. We do have a hammer candlestick, so we'll see what that, if there is a reversal, see what it looks like. NASDAQ down 2.4%. That is now breaking out of the upper the upper squeeze line here, and you'd probably draw it like this, and this would be a throw over top where we could reverse. Now, again, we'll see if this momentum continues next week and how bad it will look like. SMCI, I've been watching this one. I know this is a semiconductor. Down 7%. We did get some buying pressure towards the end of the day, but this is broken to the downside. Momentum still lower. NVIDIA down 1-point-something%. Bearish engulfing here, here, and here. And again, we'll see what occurs next week. I don't want to be too premature, but I mean, looking at this, we'll see if this support line holds or if we drop here, and we'll see. But to me, it looks like it's trying to top out to me. Bitcoin down 2.7%, was not spared. Same with Ethereum, down 5.5% or so. Was not spared as well. So lots of selling pressure today. I know some people getting a little bit antsy probably looking at the portfolios if you went in there. I didn't. Well, I was in there in the morning. Didn't like what I saw on the left. But yeah, that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. We've got a Saturday question and answer session coming up, 7 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you feel like signing up, go for it. I'll answer whatever questions you guys have. We'll go over kind of where I think we are in this cycle, kind of what's going on. And yeah, that's what I've got for today. So we'll catch you tomorrow if you're part of the website. And we'll catch you, well, I guess tomorrow on the update as well. So we'll see you next time. See ya.